Hello and welcome to the States of Matter, a podcast from the Institute of Refrigeration's Women in our ACHP network. I'm Karen Perry, and here to co-host is our network chair, Lisa Jane Cook. It's a pleasure to welcome our guest today, Claryhs Radford. Welcome, Claryhs.
Hello.
A sales engineer, a Stamazing ambassador, and also winner of the ACR and Heat Pump Trainee of the Year last year. It's going quite well for you so far, by the looks of it.
Yeah, it is going really well. I'm really happy with where I'm currently at the moment.
Brilliant. Tell us a little bit about you, how you started in the industry and kind of where you are now, a little bit about your day job, I guess.
Okay, so I'm 27 years old. I come from Harlow, Essex, and I kind of just fell into the industry randomly. I originally ran a pub when I was younger, between 18 and 22, and I knew I always wanted to be in like a selling, fast-paced environment. But unfortunately, the pub trade isn't really kind of a sustainable option unless you've got investors behind you and things like that. So I decided to go and get my admin skills tidied up a little bit because I hadn't really had an admin job before. Worked for the council and just helping out engineers booking in like door entry system jobs, AOVs and fire. And then realised I didn't want to be behind a desk and I really wanted to get into sales. My friends were in recruitment and I thought, oh, let's try and just see if there's something different out there. And I stumbled across an account manager role for Dean & Wood, selling Mitsubishi Heavy Industries equipment. So I had a research into it. It was all kind of gibberish to me at the beginning, and it was all like, what is all this stuff that they sell? And then obviously I knew what AC was. I obviously have been around AC for a long time, seeing it everywhere. And then I went in for an interview with Jenny Dean, who obviously heads up the MHI team. And the rest is history from there, really. I went into the interview, and I think the biggest thing for me when I walked into the interview was that I was being interviewed by another female as well. I hadn't really ever been interviewed by another female. It was always males I was interviewed by because they were always my bosses. So I instantly felt really relaxed. When Jenny was telling me like her career path and what she had done, I thought, sounds like something I really would like to get into and grow from. And then I started out as an internal sales engineer for her in the Harlow office. I was dealing with the Southwest area. So I was picking up all as contractors, dealing with them day to day, processing their orders, helping them make sure they were like selecting the correct residential applications, because that's kind of where I was main focusing on. And then I thought, seeing all of these other projects people out on the road and seeing them really talking to people face to face, and it was something I really wanted to do. So I ended up telling Jen what I wanted to do. I was like, I want to be a projects person. I want to design VRF. I want to be that person that sits there and goes out and helps with all of these large projects. And yeah, I really gave it my all. In my last year of being an account manager, they trained me up on VRF. So I could design it. So I was using all these solutions tools. And that's when I really started gaining a massive passion for it, because before I'd never done anything like that. So it was really interesting. And then I got given the role within projects. So then we were going through training. We'd done loads of sales training, which really opened my eyes to all the different types of selling that you can do. It's not just selling for the fact of selling, you know, you're selling them a solution, you're selling them the right product for the right project that they need. And I really, really started to enjoy it. And then the rest kind of just fell into place. And from now, I don't think I'd ever imagine myself anywhere else. I stare at AC everywhere I go now. So I don't think I'm ever getting out of this industry.
I really love the fact that you just, even though you had no knowledge, you just thought, I really want this. So you went and did your research, but actually, forgive my language for saying this, you had the balls just to go in there, just to do the interview and to see. And we talk about it a lot. You know, you have to grab opportunities. It is all about you taking that opportunity, and you've done that. And look at like where you are. It's really exciting. I had no idea.
Yeah,
Wow.
I went to the interview a bit over prepared, I think. So obviously when I looked on Dean & Wood's website, I see that they're obviously a wholesaler. That's the first thing that I noticed. And then I was thinking, well, what's this MHI equipment? Where does this come into play? And then I went on to actual MHIAE website, which is their World Wide Web. And I was researching into all of these. I remember going in talking about fascias and I had no idea what they were. And Jenny was looking at me like, what have you been researching? I said, everything I could possibly look at. But I just, at that moment when I was looking into things, I felt something inside me say, this is a really good opportunity and don't let it go. So I just really went in there and gave it my all. And I just wanted it. I remember going home that night and going, I want this job so much. Like, I really see myself in a career. And that's what I always wanted as a young kid. I originally wanted to be an art teacher. I've gone the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And when I left college, I just kind of didn't ever feel I went into a job that I really enjoyed until I sat in that meeting room for my first interview and I come out thinking, that's what I want and I'm going to go and get it.
That is brilliant as well. And we were talking this week, I've done some road shows at work and thinking about when do people get that kind of passion for what, could be. I mean, I say to friends what I do for a living, they're like, all right, okay. Now that I'm kind of 25 years into kind of it, they get it. They get that I've had a real good career out of it. What would you say to people that maybe would just come into your company and just, it's just a job? What really makes you kind of passionate about it that you think you could say to someone else?
I think for me, the passionate side to it is the want to help people and the want to educate people on what we do. Because as you say, a lot of my friends are beauticians, one's a dental nurse, one's works in costings. So when I come in a completely different industry, my friends sit there and go to me, what do you actually do? Like, and I sit there and I go through it with them. And it's like, before I was very naive to net zero, the global warming, the F-gas phase downs. I was so naive to it. They don't teach you that in secondary schools as much as what they should. And when I come into it and I started learning all of these different things and what us as an industry are actually doing to protect our planet, and, just to make sure that we're giving ourselves a sustainable future was really what was driving me to it. Because when you're sitting there talking to other people and they don't really understand the sides to net zero and the sides to, what we're doing to the planet, it's that this isn't just a job. We are paving the footway for everyone else below us and younger than us to make sure we can have a nice life on this planet. And, when you start going into it with that people, I say to people, you are making a change by making sure you're updating your customers on the correct regulations to make sure we are using the correct gases that are not affecting our ozone depletion layer and the GWP of the planet, and to make sure we are just educating ourselves moving forward. That's, to me, what drives the passion for this job. And I do say, if you haven't got the passion for it, you'll find it along the way. Because when I first come into it, I just thought, oh, this is a sales job where I sit behind a desk all day with a headset on. And when I really started learning the industry and all of the changes that everyone in the industry were making, that's when my passion started to really grow. And I see it now. People come and join the internal teams. And at first they look at everything a bit like, oh my God, what's this? What's that? Like, it's all too much. And then with 6 months, they just get it. And then they're like, right, they start talking about GWPs, they start talking about refrigerant, they start talking about everything else. And I just think, I remember back then, and it's enjoyable to see people enjoy it as much as you do. And when people go to me, would I like a job in it? And I say to them, as long as you have the willingness to want to learn everything, then yes, you will enjoy a job in it. I said, but you've got to be so open and willing to learn across the way, because every day is a learning day in this job. And I think that's the most interesting thing about it.
And I think I can still say that now as well. I don't want to stop learning. I want to keep reading. I want to keep meeting other people and kind of learning what they're doing. And I think as well, you said it there, is sometimes it's just about putting yourself on a training course that might be totally out of your comfort zone and something you don't know, but you'll come out with something from that. And my background's always been very much on air conditioning, commercial air conditioning, and I transferred and moved kind of more onto our residential heat pump side 18 months ago. And I think I did spend the first 3 months going, what's this? What's this accessory? What's this part? But going back to basics, getting your price list but wanting to learn as well. I think people can't just train you stuff that you're not interested in. You've got to want to put yourself on that and go and look out what's about. And I think this is where I always get a plug in for the IOR, but there's so many training courses and things that you could put yourself on. It's not down to your company to train you. I think it's down to your want and need to kind of get there.
Yeah, 100%. Because even though, you know, my company have done such an amazing job at training us and they give us so many utensils and tools to go out and learn everything, but you've got to want to know it yourself. Like I sit at home sometimes just looking up and researching things. You know, if I see an Excel event like the UK Construction Week where they've got talks on everything that we're doing with our industry, I will go. I say to work, sorry, I'm taking the day off. I'd like to go, because you need to learn. And I just really do think, but I think also at the same time, when you enjoy it as much as we do, it kind of comes second nature, doesn't it, really? You just sit there and go, oh, I'm just going to read the Calling Post today. I'm just going to read the ACI Journal, rather than picking up a Heat magazine or an OK magazine. We're walking in, picking up completely different things. And it's really interesting, and I'm still learning. And for me, it's all the different sides to HVAC. It's not just AC, it's not just heat pumps, it's everything else that comes into one. And so it's a really interesting job, I have to say.
I think the other thing as well is that there's so many different areas to industry. So I like to say to people, you know, to try different things, because you might not enjoy like the sales application side of it, but like you found you're really passionate about the outdoor sales bit, so actually going out and knocking doors. Then you've got the design sides and the research sides. There's just so much to do in industry. Even if you come in and think this job isn't quite for me or this role doesn't quite fit, there's always opportunities to move elsewhere. And I think that's again where, as Karen did, sort of get back to the IOR, because it's a great network. And when you start connecting with people, your eyes are open to the other areas that you haven't seen before.
100%. I mean, I've wanted to join the IOR since I started in the industry. And, you know, things get taken away, you get busy, you get distracted, and you don't end up joining. And obviously, when I won the totty and they gave me the free membership, I was ecstatic. I was like, here I am, I'm ready to go. And then being invited to the dinner and being able to sit at the top table next to Graham and some amazing people within the industry, and then getting the courage afterwards to go and try and talk to other people that are all new. And everyone was just so nice. It doesn't matter where you come from, what industry part, how new you are into the industry, everyone was so open in giving information, giving advice, and asking me how I thought I was getting along. And I thought, it isn't just individual companies, it's a community as that part. And I think where we are all individually in our own companies, you do forget sometimes there is a wider audience out there that you can go and talk to and join with and become a part of. And definitely since becoming a member of the IOR, I've spoken to other colleagues of mine and I've said to them, you need to get involved. I said, you need to get involved, you need to get on it. I said, there's some amazing workshop days for women. I said, amazing workshop days in total. I said, there's networking events, there's the dinners, there's the luncheons. I said, it's so important to get yourself involved in the whole community of our industry rather than just staying where you are, because it's information sharing at the end of the day. It's tips and tricks of, you know, if you've come across a sales objective, you can talk to someone else and they can tell you how to overcome it. Or, you know, if you're not quite sure on something you've read up on a regulation, you can go and ask someone else and they can help you. And it's no stupid question is what I find. And it's just so warming to come into an industry that's like that.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said community as well. And that is something I often say, because it is a community. We all go to these dinners and awards, and you might be sat next to somebody who actually works for your competitor, but when you're in that environment, work's off the table and you're getting to know the person for who they are. And that is what builds our community. The STEMazing training and the sponsorship with World Refrigeration Day really brought that community together as well. I feel like the STEM movement grew from that. And again, it's everybody supporting each other. You know, I've been in industry 24 years now, and I've actually seen manufacturers helping other manufacturers when there's parts that they can't get hold of. Like, you wouldn't get that in other industries. You don't get somebody phoning you up and going, hey, can I just get like a load of return bends or whatever, and they're going, yeah, we've got some, and then they get returned back. And it's like, you definitely don't get that in other industries. We do have a community.
Yeah, we definitely do. And I mean, especially like where you just said there with the STEM, I mean, I was very fortunate with the IOR, and Miriam helped me get into becoming a STEM ambassador. And I mean, I never would have had that opportunity before. And for me, STEM has always been something in the back of my mind that I thought, I would say what I've heard a lot is the imposter syndrome of, I didn't get amazing grades at school. I didn't go to university. I didn't go to college. So how can I become a part of these women in all of these amazing areas when I haven't got a college degree or a university degree? And I thought I'd never get the opportunity to become part of it. But I was always looking into it, always researching, and always in the back of my head, almost manifesting to become a part of STEM. And then when I was approached by it and they said the IOR would sponsor me, I remember coming home to my mum and my dad and just saying to them, I can't believe I've been given this opportunity, because my auntie is a very high up member in her job, and she was the one that always said to me, go for STEM. If you can ever get in with STEM, go for it. And now I'm nearly at the end of my STEM ambassador STEMazing course. I can't wait to say I'm a full-blown STEM ambassador and go out there and help the younger generation, because I really just wish I had that when I was younger. So it's amazing what just becoming part of the IOR has been able to do for me as well.
Yeah, Karen's done it as well, haven't you? So we're all amazing women.
And I think it's important what you say there in kind of that your education and your career, because a very long time ago when I started to kind of network with Women's Engineering Society and things, and I was like, I'm not an engineer, I'm not trained, I don't have that degree. And I think it was part of this network and someone said to me that, but you've got 15 plus years in a manufacturer in engineering, enough about that, you don't need that. And that was what gave me the confidence then to think, oh yeah, actually, yeah, I have got something. It doesn't matter that I'm not a trained engineer. And it is making people think that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's the best thing about the industry when you come into it, especially my company. They have been so good with making you reassured that if you don't know, just ask a question and we'll teach you. You don't have to come to us with all these degrees and qualifications. They were willing to, take someone like myself who had no background to the industry whatsoever and just help and support and train them. And I went into my admin job when I was working with one of the councils. I mean, they wasn't very, if you didn't understand anything, if they told you a third time and you still didn't understand it, was like, well, you should get it by now. And it was such a different experience for me coming in here, because I'd get nervous of asking, going, I still don't understand what they're talking to me about. And then I'd ask again, and it would be like, I would say, in a way, I'd always say to my technical team, explain it to me in an idiot term, like just dumb it down for me, dumb it down completely. And they would phone me up and we would have such a lovely conversation, because they would explain it to me in a way that they know I would understand. And it wouldn't be, I've told you 3 times already. It would be like, right, let's go over it again. And then I would just say, okay, perfect. Then I'd understand it a lot better. And it's a lot more, I'd say, nurturing on education in this industry than any other one that I've been in, because everyone wants you to get it right. Everyone wants you to understand it, because if we get it right together, we're changing the future for everyone else. So everyone wants to support everyone to understand it.
I think certainly there is a passion within it that people want to pass their knowledge and share their knowledge rather than kind of keep it to themselves. Look at what I know. And I think throughout your career, you kind of find your people, your person that you can go ask a question for the 10th time, or something that you might think, yeah, is this kind of the basics? And then it eventually kind of hits. And it's scary then when people start to come to you and ask questions and you're the one giving that knowledge. But yeah, there's definitely a want for people to kind of share and help develop people as well, and we're seeing that more and more now as well.
Definitely. And I mean, when like new people come into the office and new people start, you do then become that person that they come to and ask you questions. And certain people ask me questions sometimes and I think I don't know the answer to it, and then I turn around and I'm like, oh, actually I do know the answer, I can help you here. And I think that's when now my transition into my new role as being a projects and sales representative has really changed for me, because I used to be, before, being that person that had no idea of anything to do with VRF and the commercial applications and thinking, oh my God, how do the people do this? So now getting the phone calls from the guys internally or sometimes externally where we're helping each other and go, I'm really struggling with this. And I can just really off the top of my head now. And I sit back and I think, if I had told myself when I was 15 years old that I'd be out here designing commercial VRF applications for hotel rooms and student accommodations and airports and things like that, I would be laughing at myself in the face going, who do you think you are?
I love it. I'm sure like Karen would agree, like it resonates sort of with our stories as well. You find yourself in the industry And my start is a little bit like yours. Found myself kicked out of college. So I was like, what am I going to do? And my dad was like, you either get a job or you move out. And there was a job advertised at a manufacturer down the road, and it was an AutoCAD engineer. So I knew nothing about refrigeration and air conditioning, and I didn't know how to use AutoCAD. And my mum said, because she was an engineer and used CAD, she was like, just apply. I'll teach you how to do it. And I'm like, okay. So she gave me like a crash course in CAD, and I got the job. And that was to say, it was the start of something for me, because I knew nothing when I walked into that office.
And it's the best way to be, is just making sure that, you know, as you say, getting someone to just even assist you on once is great at the same time.
Yeah,
So,
it's having the guts to give it a go, isn't it? And also the fact that employers are willing to give us a go as well, you know, to give us those opportunities. And there are a lot of opportunities in our industry.
That's what I say to everyone new coming into us at Bayer. You know, there's so many opportunities and avenues that you can go down. As you said earlier, if you don't like AC and you don't have a passion for AC, you've got ancillaries, you've got refrigeration, you've got so many other things, operations side, that you can go into and do, that they'll be willing to help you and push you up between. I mean, I am no by means understand anything in regards to commercial fridge applications, but I still go out with the fridge team and try and understand what they talk about, so we can, you know, help each other. So, you know, if I come up against an opportunity for them, I can discuss it enough to pass it over. But you have really got to be wanting to go at these opportunities. And if you turn them down, you don't know what you're turning down. And I wish I just kind of told myself that when I was a little bit younger, and I wasn't turning down opportunities because I just wanted to go and have fun and be young in my 20s, because you've got a balanced lifestyle. If you're passionate about your career, you can have that fun side. And I've been very fortunate. I've been able to enjoy my young 20s and build a career at the same time. And I just wish someone had said to me when I was younger, go out there and grasp it with both hands and don't turn down the opportunities. And now that's one thing I tell myself: if an opportunity comes up, no matter how nervous or scared I feel about it, I take it and just run with it, because I'm like, I don't know where this could take me. And it excites me for that, because I'm like, where will I end up if I take this opportunity?
It's inspiring.
It's really important as well, I think, from it really is. And with employers as well, to think that they're never going to be upset that you ask for an opportunity, or you ask to go and learn something different, because they're investing in you then, and your value for the future as well. So yeah, there shouldn't be any fear behind it. There's always pushing yourself out your comfort zone as well. And I think Just Amazing is my one where I kind of did a really good job at saying to everyone, you should do that, you should do that. But I got to the point I ran out of people and then had to do it myself. And I think I used every excuse of, oh, I'm too busy, I can't do this. And then it was actually head down, get on with it, and then loved it and came out of it. And now I can continue to get other people, and I've done it as well. I've completed it. So, yeah.
And that's the thing with Just Amazing. I think, you know, we are in an industry where, as you know, it is very male dominated. And I think, you know, that was one thing when I come into my company with Bayer, there's a lot of women in positions where you wouldn't usually see them. And I think when I walked into Bayer and I see so many women in higher up positions where usually you would see men, it gave me such a drive to be like, we can do this, we can change the pattern, we can do everything. And then with STEM, I mean, whoever allowed me to go into a room of year threes and try and talk to them about careers and life should have had a knock on the head a little bit, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I said to Alex Knight and Neva, who have been so supportive throughout the whole process, when I first went into my first classroom 3 weeks ago, I was sitting outside in my car feeling physically sick. And I deal with managing directors, project managers, as the same as yourselves, on a day-to-day basis. But a bunch of year three kids were making me feel like I was going to throw up. And I was like, what if I muck up? What if I do it wrong? I couldn't get my head around it. And when I walked out, I thought that was one of the best afternoons I've ever had.
It's such good fun to see their faces.
Good fun. And it's not just that, it's the interest and the engaging from the kids as well. When they were asking me so many questions, I just thought, why was I ever nervous? Because they're so interested in it as well.
You actually look at the teachers and think they're amazing as well, because the way they kind of get, I mean, I did mine online, but the way they get the kids engaged, I went from kind of setting up and kind of chatting hello, to the point of then they kind of felt like they were excited about it every week, waving at the camera as they came into the classroom and stuff like that. But you just watch those teachers kind of taking part in it and engaging with it and getting everything ready. And then kind of it's quite nice when you're online because you're just watching it all going on as they're doing the experiment. And
It is,
yeah.
yeah. I was going to do it online, but then lucky enough for primary school come available only about 25 minutes down the road
Brilliant.
to me. So they were like, do you want to come and do it in person? I said, yeah, why not? I might as well give it a go. And I have to salute to the teacher because I don't have many children around me as a family. We're all quite grown up. And it's been a long time since I've been in a room full of children to try and keep them engaged and, you know, responsive to what you're saying and not getting distracted and ignoring you. And the teacher was just amazing. And I thought, how do you do this every day? But she has been really great. And also the rewarding feeling is after my first session, I went back in the following week and they'd built me a column of Tower Bridge from the columns and the structures we'd been teaching the week before. And I just thought, do you know what? This is the little feelings that you get along this career that make it also worth it and makes the nerves worth it and makes the being scared and sitting up till 1 o'clock in the morning thinking, what am I doing? It really does make it worth it. And we're on week 3 now. So I go later on today actually to do today's session. And then next week's my last one. And I'm actually a little bit upset that I won't be going back to do it. But then I know there's a road now of career fairs, college fairs that I can now go down and do. Where, yeah, I might not be an actual engineer, I might not be a mathematician, I might not be a scientist, but I've come from a background of where the odds were against me a little bit. You know, I grew up on a council estate in Harlow. I didn't have a great secondary school experience, but, you know, you made something from it. And I think that's really important as well to teach the children that think, you know, I am against the odds, that actually it doesn't matter if you are or you're not, and you go to a private school, or you go to a normal school, we've all still got the same opportunities and we've all still got the same drive to want more and learn more, and your goals are achievable as long as you want to do them.
There is a really valuable lesson, and I talk about that a lot. I actually did a careers talk this week with year 10s. They just, some of them have got very, very clear ideas, and I love that they know what they want to do. But I have to say, probably at least 75% are a bit like, I'm not really sure. And you just, you know, as somebody who's sort of gone through, like I said, I went through A-levels, didn't make it through, and then I've come out the other side, to be able to say to them, it doesn't matter like what you do at your GCSEs, it doesn't matter if you didn't like your A-levels, there are so many opportunities. And myself, like you, I don't have a degree either, so you know, you don't need to have that higher education to actually make it. I worked in manufacturing for probably most of my career, and my old boss used to say, I had a QBE, and I'm like, what's a QBE? And he's like, you're qualified by experience. He's like, you don't need a degree because you've spent this amount of time designing and working in a factory. And it's so right. Like, there's so many opportunities to learn as you go. And yeah, I love that about this industry, and all the things you're sort of saying about how supportive people are and the opportunities. You've definitely just got to grab what's there.
We did one of the exhibitions and we were on stage talking about kind of careers and things like that. And I spoke to a few people afterwards and they talked very much about kind of school and not having those opportunities. Whereas if you can go to an all-girls school or private school, sometimes you get more different subjects taught, whereas kind of in mainstream schools you're not seeing those, which is why a lot of girls don't see kind of those opportunities that are in mainstream schools to kind of go, that's what I want to go and do. And I hope now with kind of the STEM ambassadors and things we're doing that there will be someone that will go, I want to be like her, or I want to do that in the future. And that's what will change the industry and make that difference. Not what we're doing within our industry now, but what we're doing for the future of it.
100%. And I think that, as you say, like when I was in year 10 and 11, I think everybody kind of around me had the solid idea of what they wanted to do. Like, as I said before, a lot of my friends have done very well in their own careers. They've been beauticians and the costumes, all of them types of things. And I thought, even though I'm a girl, I can't sit there and do someone's eyebrows or eyelashes every day. I don't have the patience for that. I don't want to be a hairdresser. I don't want to be a teacher. I went through all of these different things. And I remember sitting there when I was around 18, 19, just before I started in the pub, and thinking, what am I going to do with my life? Where am I going to go? Because there wasn't any other person that come in and said, you can do this or you can do that. It was the stigmatized ideas of what every girl should do or what every male should do. And I remember when I first started in the pub, I started in the pub industry, and I obviously managed the pub for a few years. I remember the guy that ran the pub with me and his daughter, and they sat me down and they said to me, you've got so much more to give. You know, you're not just a waitress behind the bar. You're not just, you know, you want more, you want to do more. So I started becoming their general manager, and I started running events. And that's when I really started to realize the face-to-face customer visits and things like that is what I wanted to do, and talking to new people every day. And I thought, I wish they'd told me in school there was so many other opportunities to go by and so many other things to do. And I think with that STEM and what we do, it's really important to get to every school and get to every secondary school. And hopefully, you know, every school's as approachable as it is the schools that are involved currently at the moment. Because I mean, in Harlow, not one school that I'm aware of is part of STEM. And, you know, like, there's one thing that I'd like to do after this is to make sure that most of the primary schools and secondary schools in Harlow are getting involved in STEM, because, you know, I come from a school in Harlow and it was never taught to me. And I just think, as you say, I want to be able to make someone else look at me and go, I want a job doing what she does, or, you know, I want something like what she does. And it's really inspirational to know that there's people in the industry that I now look up to think that's where I want to be. And I hope that we can all get other people to feel like that about us as well.
We talk a lot about role models, and that's what you are by going out to schools and that. Has there been one or two people that have really inspired you or been role models to you over not even just your career, but the course of your life?
So it's going to sound a bit cliche here, but both of my parents, my mum's raised 5 kids and has done an absolutely amazing job. And, you know, has always made sure that we're our top priority, has taught me to be the independent woman I am today, to, you know, grow into not being the stigma of being a housewife and things like that. My mum has always been so very forthcoming and pushing for me and my ideas, and very supportive of the choices I've decided to make in my life. And then my dad has run his own DJing business for as long as I can remember. And obviously, as you can imagine, with that career, it's long hours and a lot of time and patience and effort. And he's always taught me that dreams are achievable as long as you put in the effort and the work. So both of them together have created me into being the best version of myself that I can be. And every time I go to them both with an issue or a solution, even though they have no idea what I do, and they try to understand, they help me in the best way possible. And then I would say, moving into like my career times, it's all of the women within the industry. Again, it's a bit cliche, but when I walked into the industry and see, as I said before, so many women in such high positions and in control of teams and training and everything, it literally ignited a fire in me. And I was like, I've never seen this before in any workplace that I've been. Women have always been there, but they've been one under the manager, or, you know, and when I walked into Bayer, there's so many women in so many positions. And then when I looked outside of Bayer and started looking into the industries and just talking to other people, I'm speaking to girls that are out on the road as engineers. I'm speaking to women that are managing directors of air conditioning companies. I'm speaking to other girls in the same roles as myself. And it was like, I've never seen this before. And that is probably now in my career side to my life has been the most inspiring thing for me, is just seeing where women can get to in an industry that is open to diverse, you know, within the industry.
That's really nice to hear as well, because we do always talk that there's a lot more males, and the figures stack up to that as well. But actually, yeah, it's finding your and that's like what we do as well, is kind of finding your network and finding your people to be able to grow that as well, because we're not hidden anymore, that people do recognize, and you do find those people as well. So it is nice to hear that you're not kind of still looking out there and kind of saying there's so many males, there's no women in this industry, because there's a lot.
Yeah, there is a lot of us out there. And I think that's the thing, you know, I'm part of my external sales team, there's three women on the sales team. And, it's so nice to see that. It is a shock to some people, though, I think, that we're not just sales engineers where we just do sales. We actually are technical. We can design, we can site survey, we can do all of this. And I mean, I remember going to one of my first ever meetings out on the road, and he was completely and utterly in shock. He was like, oh, you can do all of this stuff. There isn't someone else that does it for you in the background. And I was like, no, technical, we'll double check everything because we like to just be safe. But this is my job and this is what I do. And he was I remember it so purely in my head because he was like, oh, okay, and he was obviously in a very male dominated company and there wasn't really many females apart from your admins and your receptionists. And I think it was probably one of the first times in his career he had a young female sit down with him and design a full-blown VRF in front of him in the space of about 20 minutes. And he was a little bit like, oh, okay. And he's, do you know what, since this day, been one of my favourite customers that I work with forever. And I think that's the really shocking thing is when you realise people are actually shocked that there's females in these positions. And then it's like, well, it's used to us because we're used to it. But even when I speak to like some of my male friends that I've grown up with, they look at me and they're like, I couldn't do that. And I'm like, well, you've got to do it. Someone's got to do it.
I think we've had similar experiences, haven't we, Karen? There's always moments, whether it be you've gone out to site with someone. I've had it a few times, like gone out with a sales guy and the customer's talking to them about the specification. He's like, you need to talk to her. She does the design. I'm just here to, be the one that puts all the glitter on it all and make it look nice.
And I think that's, I always refer to when I worked in the office and the guy that sat behind me, I'd often like take a phone call, give an answer, and then you'd hear him doing the same thing 2 minutes later because someone had rung back but I always kind of looked at him and be like, I want his eyes. I want to see what he sees when he looks at a drawing. What am I missing? What's not there? And it does come through time and training. But like you talked earlier with hotel projects, like going to site and being on site, being on the roof and all that, it's just brilliant. It's really exciting. I used to love being in London and kind of looking down from a rooftop, and I thought, how lucky am I to get here? You just always appreciate those sort of experiences.
It really is like that. I've been in some sites where I've turned up and obviously for reasons you can't talk about where you've been. And I remember it's like standing there thinking, how have I got here? How am I standing in this building or where I am? And you go home and you just sit there and you think, I can't believe I've just been there today. Yeah. And like, as
you say, today.
you're standing up on top of the roof watching 6 condensers being brought up by cranes, and you're standing there talking about it, and you're just standing there in awe of yourself, I think, at that point, aren't you? Because you're like, I've got here, and you're standing there, and it's a sense of achievement when you're standing there. And especially as you say, when you would like to see how males see other things and if you are missing things. And similar to what you said, Lisa Jane, was I went to the Excel last year for my first ever exhibition. I wanted to go specifically to listen to Graham talking about the F-gas phase down just for my own interest. And I went with a colleague of mine who had been on the training with me the whole time. He was a male. And we went together and we were like, let's go network. And after the 3rd or 4th person we'd spoke to, no one had spoke to me. So they were all directing everything at him. And I thought it was just me. I thought it was just me overthinking it. And I walked off and he come and sat with me and he said to me, he went, do you know what I've noticed? And I said, what? He went, no one wants to talk to you. And he said, it's because I'm standing with you. And I said to him, should we test it out? And we had a laugh about it between the two of us. I went off on my own. I got business cards. I was networking with people. It was brilliant. We come back together, tested the theory out again. Again, everyone was directing the conversations to him. And when we left, he said, we both know as much as each other. He said, I'd never see it before. And because I don't think we'd been put in such an environment like that where we were networking with random people we'd never met before, he really said to me, he was like, I can't believe what I've just seen. He was like, it really is shocking. And I said to him, but the thing is, you've got to learn to not take it offensively. You've just got to learn to try and change the stigma and be part of that change. I said, and you know, I will be part of that change. And I think that's why when STEM come along, I was like 100%. I was like, because there's still people out there that need to understand that women can do the same jobs men can do as well. And yes, we might not all have degrees and things like that, but there's some men out there that don't have a degree in the position that they're in. And why are we looking at it as opposites? We should be looking at it as the same across the board, and we're all in this together. So yeah, it was very interesting, I had to say.
And I think we're very lucky as well to have allies and people that support us in that. And you mentioned one of your customers there kind of early that was shocked, but then saw what you could do. And I remember that as well from very early, as when becoming a salesperson. Some of those customers that really put their trust in me became really good friends kind of throughout, like now. And it's really nice that you never saw that I'm female, male, or anything like that. It was just, you're doing your job and you're doing a good job. And it is, you kind of remember that sort of stuff. And I know Lisa Jane will say the same with allies and people that are supporting us and that we're working with every day. You appreciate them so much and everything they say and they do for you. And also, yeah, supporting us in what we're doing as well, because it's really important.
It is. I also think the other side of it is women supporting women as well.
Yeah.
You know, we've worked hard to break down the barriers, so we have to help those behind us. There's no point breaking those barriers and then putting them straight back up again. And that's what I'm really loving about, and I'm going to call it our community rather than network, because that is actively happening. Women are coming through and helping the women behind them. It's the only way we're going to grow, and it's, you know, we're doing it.
Yeah, we are definitely doing it. And I think that is the nicest thing about seeing, because even though you are all still doing your day-to-day roles and it's not the foremost, we're not STEM as a full-blown career, every day you're thinking in the back of your head, what else can I do? What else can I help? And that's the nice thing is as well, that, you know, other females in your roles can call you up and be like, can I have some help with you? Because sometimes you don't want to go to your boss and ask them questions because you feel a little bit like, I shouldn't be asking the same question again, as we said earlier. But with us as a community, you know, that I could get on the phone to my colleague who looks after the Midlands, and me and her can go back and forth all day long and support each other and really push each other. And like when I won the Totty Award, she come with me, and the whole day she was so supportive. And even though she had applied herself and unfortunately didn't get through, she come and held my hand the whole entire day with me. And it was such a nice feeling to know that there was no jealousy, there's no animosity. It was just friendship and helping and supporting one another, and also promoting each other's achievements. Because now I've said to her this year, I'll be pushing you for it as well. And that's the lovely part about it.
That is really important, like making those nominations and just keep encouraging people, because it does make a difference. And, you know, it sounds like you've got a really good friend, you know, not just a colleague, but a friend. You know, that is a real friendship there to support and celebrate somebody else's wins, especially if you didn't quite make it this time. But we all know there's so many people that get nominated for these, and that, you know, I don't judge these categories, but the judges must have such a hard time just to pick that shortlist out. You know, people shouldn't be discouraged by not making the shortlist the first time. Definitely not. So I think that probably leads quite nicely on, actually. So we talk a lot about embarrassing moments. Like, have you had any embarrassing moments at work, or, you know, stories that you're sort of willing to share? Because we like to also keep that sort of lightness in some of this.
Definitely. I mean, I put myself in a very vulnerable position, but it happened in quite a few random people. I cried for my whole F-gas course, literally for 5 days, did not stop crying. I remember going up there, they sent 5 sales engineers to Wetherby to go and be F-gas qualified. And we all kind of thought, oh, it's an in-house training, didn't think anything of it. Kind of went into there with completely no idea and sat down in the training room, and it come up and it was at City and Guilds level 2 F-gas. Well, I remember we all just sat there and looked at each other and thought, hold on a second, this isn't what we thought it was. And I remember after the first day and the first lot of theory, going back to my hotel room, telling my mum and dad I wanted to quit my job. I was like, I can't do it. I'm not this engineer that they want me to be. I said, I can't do it. And I cried non-stop that whole night because I thought, what happens if I fail? What happens if I don't do it? And then after that day 3, they were trying to get me to mark up an M4 feature. And obviously where we were doing practical sides to it as well, obviously you had to be fully dressed, sleeves covered, jumper on, and obviously work boots. And it was 25 degrees outside. And I remember laying on the grass on day 3, just crying, and was like, everyone was going, are you okay? I was like, nope, can't do it. I don't get it. That nothing was clicking in my head at that point. And I was like, this isn't an AC system, it's a fridge system. And it just wasn't clicking in my head. And I remember one of the technical directors come out and he looked at me and I'm laying on the floor, like just in a mess. And he was like, it will be okay. Like, he was like, you're not going to get fired. You're not going to lose your job. He was like, if you don't get it, you can come back and do it again. Like, don't let it. He was like, why are you so upset? And it's because I wanted to do it so bad. And because I wanted it, I thought this is the first hurdle that I'd come against where I really was not strong on it at all. And I was feeling like I was failing myself. And then the assessor, I remember going back in and his name was Harry, and he was the nicest person and so supportive. I remember he sat down with me and a couple of the others and literally spoke us through it. And then all of a sudden, I think after the days of emotion, it clicked and everything just fit in. And then I managed to pass my theory first time and my practical first time. I remember getting in the car on the way home, and one of the other colleagues was driving home, and we had to drive home from Leeds to Essex. I made him stop off at an M&S and was like, I'm going to get myself a drink to celebrate the fact I've actually passed an engineering course. Like, what the hell had happened? And I remember laughing with him in the car on the whole way home, and he was saying to me, he's like, I don't think I've ever seen someone cry so much in 5 days. He was like, I'm surprised you have anything left in you.
It's a really nice story. I know it must, at the time, the stress must have been insane, especially not knowing, because if you knew, maybe you would have read some stuff before you went in, just sort of being like in that. But maybe they just knew that was the right way to get you to do it, just to push.
I think what it was is that it was a half and half, because we've got a fridge and an AC team, and they just decided that actually, no, do you know what? We're not just going to train you on Bayer, we're going to train you properly. And that's what they explained to us the first day. They went, do you know what? We're not just going to do your Bayer in-house. We want you to be qualified. We want to give you this opportunity. And I think that was the scary part, was that the company had invested so much money into all of us. And I was like, I'm going to walk away with an actual qualification that engineers don't even get sometimes. And I remember just sitting there being so bewildered by it. And I was like, and then at the end, I said to my boss, I said, you know what? I thank you so much for it, because it's opened a light and door to me that I can now relate to my customers on such a different level, because I understand what they do now on a day-to-day. And I remember trying to change my copper tube in the exam on the practical, and my copper tube was too short and I hadn't measured it properly. And I remember running around trying to find another bit of copper pipe. And one of the girls come out and she had a spare one, and I remember putting it on and it working, and it was leak tight, and thinking someone up there was watching me today, because I was like, this can't go wrong. I'd got to that point and I was thinking nothing can go wrong. And it was, now I look back at it and I think I'd never do it again. If anyone ever asked me to do it, the answer would be no. But I've done it once now, and it was not the most embarrassing, but I think, you know, for me, everyone's seeing such a vulnerable side to me when I'm quite a strong, confident person, and letting that barrier come down and people actually seeing you don't have to be confident and show it off all the time. And there is a side where you can actually show people that, you know, I don't know it all.
And also a little bit of vulnerability there as well. I think it's incredible, and it's great that you have that, and that, you know, that you didn't know when you walked through that door on the first day, but after the 5th day you were qualified, and you should be really proud of that.
Thank you. No, it is, anyone that gives the advice, because that my brother-in-law is an AC engineer and he's just going off to do it, and I was able to give him the big F-gas book I've been able to help him. And I think that's the feelings of where you know other people in the industry. And if anyone did ever come and say to me, what's it like? You can say to them, don't shy away from it. Just give it your all and just go and try and do it. And if you qualify, you qualify. If you don't, you can resit it. It's really not the end of the world.
It's a good way to look at it as well, isn't it? It's not the end of the world, and you can reset it.
Yeah.
You're qualified now and you've done it, and no one can take that away from you as well.
No,
it's just another step.
100%.
We're going to go back to careers. What would you say was your highlight of your career?
My highlight was probably winning the Totty Award last year. Because for me personally, I have, in my own self, and we all talk about women in industry as well, but also in regards to like your mental health and things like that. I struggled when I was a lot younger. I think because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I see all these other people going into other careers. I worked so hard over the past, I'd say 6 years, to really build a career for myself and to throw myself into everything. And to then be rewarded at such a level at the end. I put myself in when they said everyone apply. I put that application in so quick and so fast, because not even if I wanted to win it, just to be recognised on a level, and just to be able to, go to one of these dinners and meet other people and see other people in the industry also be recognised. I really wanted to go to one. I was always jealous of people that went to the ACR dinners and always thought, oh, I'd like to go just to see what it's like. And I remember with the closing date of the application, I hadn't heard anything, and I just thought, oh, and then I looked at my junk, and it had come through to my junk that I'd been obviously dwindled down to the top 3, and I couldn't believe it. I was honestly like,
did you cry?
I was in so much shock for the first, I think, 2 hours. I didn't know what to say to people, because I was like, how the hell has this happened? And then I remember the night before, my dad and my mum both called me, because obviously I travelled way out to Manchester. I drove up on my own. And I remember being in the car on the way up there thinking, I hope I don't have to do a speech if I do win, because I don't know what I'd say. And then when I was sitting at the table and just seeing all the other nominations of all the other people within their roles, it was making me so happy to see all these young people, these young adults, be so praised for their achievements. And I remember sitting there, and I remember seeing bronze place come out and then silver place come out. And at that point, then I'd realised I'd won. I didn't know what to do. I honestly, I was standing up on that stage and everyone's staring at you. And even though we're all confident within our own roles, at that point, you just lose all confidence. And I remember just standing there awkwardly next to Louis from MHI. And obviously me and Louis knew each other. And Louis was like, you can smile, And I remember just standing there like, didn't quite know how to process it. But it's my biggest achievement because of how hard I worked. And I think how much I was so determined to get to this position. And then also just that the perks that have come with it since, the opportunities, becoming part of the IOR, to then becoming a STEM ambassador, to being a guest on your podcast, to then also having an article in the ACR. Like, I can't believe it. And I'm so chuffed with the support I've been given around me from likes of yourselves and everyone else to give me this opportunity, and also very happy and proud of myself that I got to where I am today. So it's definitely one of my biggest achievements.
Love it. So one last question. You talked earlier about advice that you would have given your younger self about grasping opportunities and things. If you were to say something to women that were considering coming into the industry, what would you say?
I would say no question's a stupid question. That is always my advice. That is the one thing I always say to the new people that start within our team. I always say to everyone, no question's stupid. I said, you're looking at everything and it all looks like absolute gibberish right now, and it will do for a little while, but ask. Said, if you don't ask, you won't ever know, and we are all here to help. So just ask that question and don't feel silly for asking it, because at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong question to be asking. You want to educate yourself and you want to learn. So yes, the thing about us, we can all encourage people to ask what they would class as a silly question, because it's not, and we'll be happy to help and support people so they can educate themselves and understand.
I love it.
That's a brilliant one as well. And I always say, when I first started within Daikin, and I didn't really understand kind of chillers and applied systems, but a few times when I asked a question, I kind of get the, oh, it's easy, and that stopped me learning then, because I was like, if it's that easy, I'm a bit dim and I'm not going to kind of get it. And I wish I'd kind of pushed that harder at that time. So I think it's always, and as we said earlier, we're always learning. Some people are really good at in some areas and others in others, and it's kind of, it's never easy for everyone. And I think important for people like us to take that time to spend with people.
Yeah, 100%. It definitely is.
Well, Claryhs, it's been really lovely talking to you. Your enthusiasm is infectious.
Thank you.
We really look forward to kind of seeing what you're going to do next, where you get to, your future career as well. Really, really exciting. And I think a lot of that comes from you and your desire, your passion, everything you've done for yourself as well. So really well done. It's great. And thank you so much for joining us.
No worries. I thank you all so very much. I've really enjoyed today, and it's been lovely to talk to other people that you usually wouldn't have ever spoke to. So I really appreciate the time that you've all taken out of your day to meet with me today and have me as a guest on your podcast. And I can't wait to catch up with you all again soon, because hopefully now we won't be strangers to each other anymore.
No, that's it. We'll get a night out somewhere.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring. Please like and subscribe and check out the rest of the series, The States of Matter. Keep an eye out for social media posts where you can see what's coming up next, share with your colleagues, and even let us know what you want to hear more of. You can get more involved with our LinkedIn group, IOR Women in our ACHP, and help to grow our community and highlight women in our industry. Please get in contact if you'd like to reach out about anything where we can support.